And we're live. Good evening. Welcome to Phil Goes Deep. This is part 2 of GRC Full Flow. So following on from yesterday's stream, we're going to continue converting the GRC applications in ServiceNow over to Flow Designer. Yesterday we were able to start with indicators, and I managed to convert the UI action execute per indicator, and also the scheduled job execute all indicators. I did come across a small hiccup with the update next date time method, and I would like to close that one out, but I'm not sure that that's something for today. What I want to do is start working through all of the tables in the context of indicators and start looking at business rules that might be able to be converted. My early expectations were that before business rules won't really be able to be converted to Flow Designer. So far that seems to be the case, so I'm parking those ones. And really right now I'm just going to get into it. So let me switch over to my, I've got another little transition there, so let's see how that goes. Oh, here he is. Okay, so let's switch over, make sure my stream is healthy, audio's working, audio levels are good. Hopefully the lighting's a bit better now. Okay, this is my update set, focusing on the GRC profiles application. Yesterday we touched some script actions, UI actions, and built some new flows and some new actions. Okay, so update next date time doesn't really belong as an action. I've got an idea for that, but let's see whether that's really something we've got time for tonight. This is my diagram. I'll zoom out a little bit here. So in terms of the, let's just put this in here. This is GRC profiles. So GRC profiles application has the scope namespace SN_GRC. Okay, so within profiles we've got indicators, which we're focusing on, and issues, entities, and there's a few other things in there. So I'm starting with indicators. We've got some tables. Okay, yesterday I converted the scheduled job to run all indicators, the UI action to execute run indicator. The run all indicators, if you've got certain levels of indicators, will actually batch them up and trigger a script action. Okay, so this has been converted. The script action is now calling my flow. However, this hasn't been tested, so I'm keeping that as amber for now. The next things we're looking at are the tables, so indicator tasks. It's got 2 business rules on there, and they're not able to be converted now. They're before business rules. Okay, so I'm highlighting them red. Indicator results, where we're going to start seeing a bit more activity, I believe, and then there's also some things around indicator templates. But we'll look at the table structure, and we'll look at the business rules on there. So indicator results is where I want to start. If we go to SNGRC indicator result dot config. Oh, I've got some pop-ups. Firefox is doing its job. Excellent. Okay, so look at these business rules. Close or update issue when result passes, create issue when result fails, update control to compliant, update indicator count for control, update last result passed. Okay, now some of these 2, okay, are in the policy and compliance scope, so I'm not going to focus on those. And actually starting with indicators, once we're done here, will lead us nicely over into issues. So we'll do issues next. It is a very broad broad piece of the application, lots going on with issues, but that should lead us nicely into some of the areas of policy and compliance and risk management. So let's get started on our business rules. Let's just take a look at them. Close or update issue, create issue, and update last result passed. So last result passed is on indicators itself. So my gut feeling is that's the first one to do. And maybe we should let's put here let's call this the scope. My approach is to review APIs. Yeah, get the public methods. So we're going to review the APIs, identify public methods, can create actions. Yeah, that's one set of activity we need to do, and then we need to identify API calls and create flows and subflows, and then replace calls. Yeah, so these are the two kind of approaches so far. We can refine this over time. Right now, just want to get into it, and I think we've done this already on these, but what we might find is we'll identify the API calls, and then that will take us up here. Okay, so this is really our typical starting point. Okay, update last result pass. So I also need to have Flow Designer up and running. Update last result passed. Yes, this is an after business rule, so I'm pretty comfortable that we can create a flow from this. But what happens equals so I think we need to move this code. So indicator result equals current.past. We get the indicator. Oh look, wrapping the get. Good stuff. So how will we convert this to an action? First things first, create a new action. And this is called update last result passed. GRC profiles, and our category is full flow. As I mentioned on the previous stream, and I've also anyone watching the channel, I've set up a playlist for GRC full flow. Not sure when I'm going to be doing all of these sessions. In the back of my mind, I'm like, can we convert GRC to Flow Designer in 24 hours? So I'm wondering whether I need 24 individual 1 hour streams and try and break it down like that. So I'll set up a playlist. I'll try and schedule ahead of time, but I did it yesterday for a test run. Felt really good. I think it's a pretty solid idea, and still just feel a little bit excited about it. So I'm doing another one tonight. We've got Flow Designer, update last result passed. So we have the indicator result is our input here. We call this indicator this is a reference to indicator result. Can't do anything without that. That becomes our current. Okay, when we look at that business rule, that's the current record. Output, do we really return? We don't return the update. I feel like we should probably return success or not. We're not doing it. So if we convert, we try and stick to a basis of like for like, because if I start improving things, or okay, I might think it's an improvement. If I start changing things, that's going to complicate stuff. So let's keep it. There is no return, so therefore there's no output. So first thing here is a script step, and this is going to be update last result passed. Variable is going to be indicator record, and this is going to map to my input. My code is already available. So indicator result equals, so let's put in here, I don't want to pollute the namespace by calling things current, so I'm going to say what indicator result is. I'm going to call it GR indicator result equals inputs dot indicator. It's not an indicator record, that's named wrong, it's indicator result. The problem is you've got a field on indicator result called passed. So this should actually be called, that's a string of passed, and that is gr indicator result dot. I prefer to use get value. I know there is a lovely article on codecreative.io about stringing, how to string variables in ServiceNow, and I don't want to credit the wrong person. Let me check. Codecreative.io ServiceNow string get value. King of string, yeah. Travis wrote this one. Yeah, Travis Tolson, last March 2019. So, you know, if you want to explore, I'll stick this in the chat for anyone. If you want to explore when to use get value, whether to use string in, etc., plus quote, I think sometimes it's just flavor, but you do need to know how it responds and how it handles things like null values. Okay, I feel like I want a string of the past. But you see down here he's testing it for true, so that's probably why. So again, let's not change things. I'll try and stick to that mantra. Indicator result. I'll change my variable name. Indicator result. So that's a glide record coming in of indicator result table. My string of past is coming from the past field on the indicator result. Then I'm going to look up the indicator, and I'm going to change any reference to current here. If we don't have any, then return indicator. See, again, I love to use set value. I don't like this dot walking. I feel like it's unpredictable. Sometimes you're dealing with glide elements. It's not, for me, it's not ideal. So indicator dot last result passed equals string passed equals true. it's not equal to true, then that's going to be set to false, and it updates the indicator. So I feel like that is all we need from an action. We need an indicator results to go and just test this against. Indicators. In fact, if I go to my recent history, I love using this clock. That's what it's there for, your history. If you were there recently, use the clock. Here's my indicator, manual test. Now you can see here last result passed. So what I actually need to do is on this one, and I need to be in the app, I believe, in the right scope. If I look here, last result passed. If I set this to false, okay, look here, that's false now. This indicator result passed true. So if I test this flow designer, how can I get the display name of this? Result generated from fill entity. Doesn't really matter which one of these it is. If I get this in here, either one of these, run test, it was completed and we got it green. Let's go back. Look, it's the result passed. Okay, so my action's working. I'm happy that my action is working. Update last result passed. That name is a little bit too generic now for an action here. Let's say update indicator last result passed. Save that. Publish the action. Okay. Now I'm going to create the flow that matches my business rule. Let's close Explore and go to this one, this business rule, when to run. So if I look at my diagram, let's just test this. So I've identified an API call, I found a business rule, I've looked at the API, which is, okay, it's not actually a script include here, it's embedded script within the business rule, and I've created the action. So really we're actually coming in this way. If it's I'm going to call it embedded code. Embedded code. And then I've got my got to create the action and call this over here. Create flows and then replace the call. So update last result passed. After insert update past changes. I don't see how that runs on update, to be quite honest with you, because an indicator result can't be updated. So really it's on insert. So I'm going to create a new flow because I need a trigger, and I'm going to say indicator result set last result passed. Run as user who initiates the session. think that's accurate. That's what a business rule would do. And my trigger is going to be, I'm going to do created or updated just to match, but I don't think there would ever be an update. And my filter is past changes. Okay. So if my past field changes, this stuff down here, run trigger once, that should be fine, because like I say, indicator result should never be updated, so it shouldn't ever get there. I don't know if there's any performance implications here of saying only if not currently running, or for each unique change. I'm just going to leave it at once. In terms of advanced, when to run the flow for both interactive and non-interactive sessions for any user, and where to run in the background. I feel like that's sufficient. Although it's an after, not an async, that should be fine. Then my action is going to be under profiles, update indicator result last passed, and my indicator is going to be this record. Save this, just test it. Run the test. Excellent. That worked. Now I'm going to activate that, and I'm going to deactivate my business rule. And under here, indicator result, business rule, I'm going to set this one to green. Okay, so that's done. What I need to do, I shouldn't have closed Explore. If I do the same thing again quickly in here, profiles, I'm going to say gr.set value last result passed false, gr.update. So when I run this, that's no longer last result passed. And let's see how much of this is running on Flow Designer now. If I click execute, my UI action is used for handling the UI messages. Okay, but it's going to go and create me an indicator task. I've already got two open. Now I've got a third one, so I'm going to focus on that third one. If I close this, closed, I have to pass the result. It's going to be passed. When I update that, it's going to take me back to the indicator. That should trigger the Flow Designer. Excellent. We can see that just gone last result passed. How did it do it? My business rules inactive. Look in my Flow Designer. My flow executions has just run here. Yeah, just now. This one was my test 2 minutes ago. Here's my successful, and which one was it for? Indicator result. It just came in from indicator task 2007. Perfect. Need to get some sound effects on here for my sound. I need a soundboard. I need to speak to Ben Forrest. Where are you? Okay, excellent. So that is of the business rules. Update last result passed. these two, create issue when result fails. We're going to start going over into issues then if we start doing this. So let's hold fire there. Take a quick look at them. They are after. That's after. This one's before. Create issue when result fails before, or pass is false. Changes to pass is false. Those conditions don't seem that different to me. I think that would still, this one here would trigger that one. Don't think we need to there. Update or create indicator issue. I think we might start going into issue utils next. We need to do that to be able to set up our business rules. So there is dependency here. We can't go as clean as that. However, what we have got, let's just name these two business rules so we don't lose track. Sorry, scroll and roll. Close or update issue when result passes, and that's going to be dependent on the property. I'm fairly confident there. This one, and we're going to mark this blue because we haven't done it yet. Close or update, create issue when result fails. Okay, so if anyone's kind of thinking about how does a control or a risk get impacted, where does the logic? Okay, in indicators the logic is always from the indicator result. The indicator result is either going to have, it's got a Boolean flag on there, a binary status. Passed is the field. It's either true or it's false. It can't be anywhere in between. The indicator is either going to pass or it's going to fail. So when the indicator result gets generated, the indicator result record and the whole table is actually locked down, so you can't change it. Therefore, when an indicator result gets created, that informs the logic. So if the result passes, it's going to check, have I got any open issues related to indicators? Then it's going to handle the closure of the indicators that were generated by issues. If it fails, it's going to create the issue, so or create or update. Okay, so we're going to move into the issues API next. I think I'm going to just mark that one red because then it shows we've moved on. Indicator result. We're going to do indicator template, right? Template. I did call that templates. Every table in the system should be in the singular. That's data modeling 101. Indicator template has got some logic on there. So when a new indicator template is created, it will generate indicators for each of the controls. So you can see here, auto create indicator when content associated, deactivate, delete template, enforce unique PA indicator. Okay, that's interesting. Prevent creation for non-leaf risk statements. Interesting that that's in profiles. I would have expected that to be, and if I look at this one, I assume there's a check on the plugin for advanced risk. When to run. Actions. Appeared up. Current content nil, current class name, and current leaf nil, and it's not. Current.content.leaf. I thought the leaf field was a scoped field from advanced risk. Maybe it came from profiles. Okay. Set schedule field to default if errors. Update category based on content changes. Update indicators created from template. So really this is the one I was focusing on. However, we're going full flow here, so we're going to create or attempt to create everything. let's put a field on here when, because I want to know from the list view after. You see these ones before. I'm not even going to attempt to convert the befores because I don't really know how to do that. I don't think it's possible. I really want someone to tell me that I'm wrong. Okay, so we're going to focus on afters. So auto create indicator when content associated. Let's tidy these tabs up. I know you can't see. Just close Flow Designer, undo close tab. Yeah, you can't see the top of my browser, so it might look a little bit weird on the stream. Auto create indicator when content associated. Deactivate or delete template and update indicators created from template. Just messing around with the stream a second. I don't think I want to do that. Stream marker added. Okay, right, so I've got the stream open in the other window, and what I want to do is try and convert these into clips as well if there's something meaningful in here. So I will try and remember to do that, but I don't want to get too distracted. Let's see whether I can multitask. So I've got auto create indicator when content associated. When to run after. Insert, update, and then we've got additional conditions up here where the current content's active, the current template's active, and it wasn't previously active or the content changes. Not sure that condition needed to be scripted in here. Okay, but that's the flow. What we want is the action right now. Previous content. So let's go into Flow Designer and create a new action. And this is auto create indicator when content associated. This is in GRC profiles, category. There's no description on here. Okay. Inputs. It's going to be current, right? So it's indicator template. I think from a business rule, standard is, I don't want to call it current. I call it indicator template and be specific. It's going to be a reference to indicator template. That's mandatory. Is there any output in here? Queues an event. We're doing two get properties here. Get property. We can optimize a little bit of that. So I'm going to go create a script action. Auto create my variable is going to be indicator template. Value is my indicator template. Var gr indicator template equals inputs dot indicator template. Okay, so now I've got access to that. available locally. Copy the code from here. So you've got previous. Does Flow Designer have access to previous? That's not something I'm clear on. Access to previous. What are we using previous for? That's passed in for our event queue. Create bulk indicators. ServiceNow. I can't type. ServiceNow Flow Designer access to previous current object. There we go. Can Flow Designer. Can Flow Designer determine the previous and current? Unfortunately not. Yeah, because it could be asynchronous. That's, you know, things have moved on since a year ago, but what do we need? If I've got, why is it not copying? Let's copy this code. So previous content, it's literally only used for passing in our event queue. That's for content changes. So we can't access previous content, which means we can't actually pass in. But I mean, okay, so this property is being called twice, which is not necessary. What we would say is var, so it's boolean, create, auto create. Then you can pass that in here and here. Yeah, you don't need to call GSGetProperty twice. Item glide aggregate current.content. So when we looked at my updated code here, let's build it in. Build it. We're not going to have this part of the script. GR template is going to replace current. Okay, so anywhere we see current, there, that's going to get replaced. Previous content we can't call, so I'm going to comment this out, and I'm going to have to not queue bulk changes, because I can't access previous, whatever the previous content was. I need to go and look at that event, no, the script action, okay, because the script action, yeah, from auto create. BR to script action. Previous. Yeah, because of previous, I can't convert that bit from what I can see right now. So get rid of previous. Can we do the rest of it? If our property set to true, we go and get an aggregate on the item, add a query on the content. If it has next, if the table's risk definition, add info message, else. Yeah, so it's going to give us the info message, but the event queue is going to be a problem because we haven't got access to previous. Has that changed? Let's find out. Look at the docs quickly. See, inputs current equals current. Yeah, but that's when it's being triggered from UI action. That's code snippets. Access to previous. Feels like it's two things now. So we've got before business rules and we've got access to previous. Two things that Flow Designer can't do. Unless I'm wrong. When it comes in, we've got current. Let's look at Flow quickly. We go to Flow. Oh, actually I've got a demo one that I set up just for playing around. So if this was updated, okay, it's indicator template is the one we're looking at right now. Am I in the wrong scope? No. There we go, indicator template. If I said that content changes, it's not called content, it's called the label changes. So if it changes and it knows it's changed, it must have access to previous. So if I say action, let's look at our trigger record now. Run start time. So we've got our trigger record updated. If we only got access to our new value, we don't have access to the old values. Does it matter if I run it in the foreground? Nothing in here for previous. Nope. ServiceNow core. I mean, you could look up the record, but this is an after business rule, so it's already been changed. That wouldn't work. I think we can't move that one over. I'll leave this page for now. Auto create indicator when content associated. I'm going to park that one as well and say we can't move this one over. Access to previous, auto create. Yeah, so we've got a new failure here. There's Flow Designer gone. Did I close Flow Designer? Yep. Undo close. Yeah, get rid of demo. "46 minutes into this session and we have managed to move one business rule over and find out the other one can't be moved. It's not as good progress as I hoped for. I don't know if we're going to convert the entire application suite in 24 hours. Let me know what you think. Post in the comments. Don't forget, on the channel, if you wish to subscribe, like. Thanks to everyone that liked, and I got 2 new subscribers yesterday, so I guess this topic is of interest. Share it, post on the ServiceNow community as well. Let us know what you think on there. So my action, auto create, I'm going to leave that in draft for now. Next up, auto create indicator, that can go. Deactivate template. Look, we've got previous active. I think we can deal with that as conditions. Is there anything in here? Excuse me. So, luckily I've got on mute there. Is there anything in here about previous? No, you can see there it's grey, not been called. So this one should work. Deactivate, delete template. Okay, so actions, new, action, and this is going to be in profiles, category, full flow, go. Input will be always indicator template, be a reference to indicator template, mandatory, then we do a code step, a script step, deactivate, let's call this indicator template, variable, indicator template is my indicator template. So here is going to be var gr. I can copy this from this one. There, and then copy the code in. We're firing another bulk indicator event queue. In fact, let's move this code into here. So any mention of current, I don't know if we've got operation equals delete. That's an interesting one. I don't know that there's going to be an operation available on there. Let's test it. Let's find out. I'm hoping to break a couple of things here. So we've got a content ID, we've got an indicator template, we've got a content ID, we've got a table, which is the sys class name, item, and if we've got items, add info message, indicator indicator. Da, da, da. I don't know that we can even add info messages. I have to run in the foreground. Okay, should run. Don't know whether Flow Designer can deal with that. Let's make sure we run it in the foreground and see. I'm not sure that this is going to work. Can we get operation on the record? Be interesting if we can, and we're going to event queue there. So I think that's pretty good for an action. I haven't tested the action, but I'm going to publish it because I'm going to go straight in and create a flow for the sake of brevity, because I want to make sure this condition works. This is going to be create, delete, indicator template. And you know, I think there's some stuff that doesn't necessarily belong into Flow Designer. The more I'm kind of going through here, I think there's definitely a question mark of people have asked, and the reason I'm kind of doing this is we've had lots of questions, you know, amongst the team of should we be replacing things in Flow Designer? Should we be building everything in Flow Designer? And I don't think it's possible to answer that question without really trying to do it and then realizing what hurdles we come up against. There's certain behavior that I think will always belong in a business rule, because that level of complexity or kind of system functionality you don't really want anyone messing around with. It's not really a flow that someone should be tweaking. I don't think it should. I think this gets a bit dangerous. But then the benefit of Flow Designer with your executions, and you can go in and debug and see what's happening and understand the system better, maybe it is good to expose it. So I'm at a bit of a conundrum now. I think this is create, when to run, update. No, wrong one. When to run, update or delete. Okay, so doesn't deal with delete. We found another gap. Am I missing something? Updated. So that operation is going to fail in our action, right? When we go into here, like if operation equals delete, I don't think the flow will trigger. Does it count it as an update? Let's find out. Indicator template. Okay, indicator template, and our filters are, we're looking at this. Okay, where can I paste this in? Didn't like that. Yeah, okay. So if the current operation equals update and it's not active, so I would say here that active changes to false. Yeah, because if it's not active and it previously was active, so if it changes to false, or if the current operation equals delete. I don't think we can get to operations, so that's why it's scripted. So if you deleted the indicator template, you delete the indicator template, it deactivates in bulk the indicators. I don't think we'll get to here. hold on. So that is so if it's a delete, it's only, let's look at it in code. There's no brackets around here. So the temporary ID is our indicator template, sysid. If we're deleting, then we blank out the our template ID. Oh, man. Template ID. I was thinking it was temporary. Temp is short for temp. Don't use ambiguous abbreviations. Template ID, we blank it out. If we're deleting it, we blank it out. So when it queues the event, okay, so I don't think it's going to handle deletion personally. I think we have a bit of a gap here. So I am going to publish the action just with that slight change to the code or the variable name. Honestly, people who work with me will tell you that I do get caught up on things like variable names, but they are so important. Just avoids confusion, reduces ambiguity. Right, so deactivate, and our indicator is going to be our trigger record, where active changes to false. Let's save that. Let's activate it. I didn't run it in the foreground. When to run advanced options, run it in the foreground because we've got some messages in there. So I want to check that we get messages out. Okay, we can't get them if they're in the background. Pretty sure about that. And deactivate this business rule. So let's just take a note of the business rule we're looking at the moment in our diagram. So we can't have previous, we can't have delete, we can't have before. So that's inactive. Let's go and get my indicator template. So this indicator doesn't have an indicator template. Not a problem. Let's create an indicator template. Does my control or risk have a control objective? Control doesn't have a control objective. Okay, so let's create a new indicator template. Full flow demo 1. And this is going to be a manual. Whoops. So demo, not just collecting supporting data. I save this. I'm going to create a new control objective. Demo 1, full flow demo 1 active. Submit. Okay. So my control here, I'm going to attach it to my new why is this non-compliant? Oh, from earlier, fine. Okay, So I've got a control objective. I think this same action is going to need to be called when new controls are inserted. So I think we're going to keep coming up against that one. What is our... We don't have our indicator showing up here. Yes, there we go. Is that our existing indicator? Control indicators. No, we're going to have now two. One to the template, one not to the template, which is fine. My flow is going to run where active changes to false. So my indicator changes to false. My indicator template changes to false. Do I get a message? Yes, I got a message. Indicators are being deactivated. That should have thrown an event, which is going to be picked up right now by a script action. Yeah, that's gone active false. So the next thing on that flow here is going to call a script action, which is called bulk deactivate bulk indicators. Script action deactivate bulk indicators. Okay, so that needs to be done. So that's not running on flow yet. Let's see, does it come back on? Deactivate update. So when you activate the indicator template, does it bring it back by default? That has changed. Got the same message. Refresh this list. Yeah, that's gone back to active. Where's that come from then? Where's that come from? How are we doing? Right, we've gone to an hour. I feel like I'm making slow progress now because I think I'm getting right into the detail. So my indicator template changed to active. Update indicators created from template. When to run after. Let's take a look at this indicator generator engine. So that's indicator generator engine, not indicator engine. And we're going to look at the base. And generate update indicators. It's called update indicators. Update indicators. So any changes to the template where it hasn't been overridden, and set indicator fields. Just looking in here. Set indicator fields. Active's not set in there. How did it get set back to active? Is it a before business rule and that's why I'm not looking at it? I think it's this one. Business rules. I'm confused now. Yeah, like if current content, and it wasn't previously active. So this one is running after auto create indicator. And we've got this other event queue here, so that's create bulk indicators. The one we said we can't convert yet. It's got a different script activated here. So is it that script action that's taking care of that for us? Script actions. Oops. Create bulk indicators. If this is setting things to active, like if content change, indie temp info decode, deactivate indicators, generate bulk indicators from template. So in this one, generate bulk indicators, it's called create indicators. Create indicator or single. Down here, if it's not active, set it to active. Okay, so even the generation and the handling of a template to its children is absolutely huge. It's just, there's no let up. GRC is just constantly keeping me on my toes. Update indicators created from template. I mean, this can go, right? This can go into the flow. But the other ones are going to be troublesome. It's going to close down some of these records. Deactivate, delete template. Yeah, we can't really do that because we can't do delete on here. Let's put some comments because I know what will happen. We'll come back to this and say what cannot handle delete operation. Cannot handle previous object. Yeah. Cannot handle before. I don't know what to call that. Ordering or before order execution. Yeah, so we can't do befores, we can't do previous, we can't do deletes. We can do afters. after updates, after inserts, we can do afters, definitely. We could do asynchronous, definitely. Deactivate delete item is, okay, I copied the name. This is going to be called deactivate delete, nope, update indicators created from template. Yes, this is going to go. Fairly confident looking at this one. We can do this without any pain. Update indicators created from template. Why don't you stay default to my scope? Submit this. It's an action, so we need an input. Let's just flag a stream marker here. Okay, it's an action. Let's start again. Let's go. So we've got a business rule. Update indicators created from template. Update indicators created from template. Got an extra E on the end. Update indicators created from template. It's a business rule. It's an update after, no conditions, advanced, no conditions, and all we're doing is firing the indicator generator engine API. So our action input, update indicators created from template. Because it's coming from a business rule, we need our, what would normally be our current. It's going to be our indicator template. This is going to be a reference to the indicator template table, and that's mandatory. Check, no returns in here. Very unusual to see a return from a business rule anyway. So the first thing is to put a script in, and I'm going to call this update indicators. Yeah, update indicators, and current is going to become our variable indicator template. Our value is our indicator template, and in here is input.indicator template. New indicator generator engine. Okay, we're in the right application scope. Update indicators, we've got an action based on an indicator. Save this, publish this, and now we can replace the flow, replace the business rule with the flow. Update indicators created from template. We're in the right application scope. Run as the user who initiates the session. Yes. Trigger is updated. Yeah. When to run. After. Update. No messages in the business rule. Indicator template. Yeah. Trigger once. No. Only if not currently running. Run it in the background. Should be fine. So that's done on my trigger. My action. Profiles. Update indicators created from template, and guess what? My indicator template record is my input. It's done on there. Save that. Activate it. Obviously we can test it first, but this one looks simple. And then deactivate the business rule. And I'm going to test it this way. I'm going to go into my indicator template, which I did have open. where's my indicator template gone? Thought I just refreshed the whole thing. Indicator templates. I'm going to say in here, updated today. Yep. So I've got an indicator template that's got an indicator against it. I'm going to say test flow. Now, what I should be able to do is look at this from the executions. That's queued just now. Does this update in real time? Or do I need to refresh the list? Refresh the list, it's complete. So, it looks good. We can look at our action, reference, steps, drill in. All looks positive, I can't see any reds. If I look in here, I change the name to test flow. Refresh, it's gone to test flow. Okay, so very successful. Update indicators from template. So that's updating them. But what we don't have, if we go back to sngrc indicator template.config and look at the business rules, we've managed to deactivate 2 of them. Update indicators created from template and deactivate delete template. However, that's still amber. This one's green. This one's red. Yeah, which is create indicator when content changes, because we don't have access to previous, after, and I can't do those 4 because they're before business rule. So I haven't documented that fact, and we've got ordering as well, which is another complicating factor. I didn't actually look at this before. I did these afters, right? So if I wanted this to run, then this to run, then this to run, I mean, you could build it into a single flow to make sure that the actions are running dependent of each other and break out the conditions. Maybe that's the solution. I'm not sure. And look here, I've got my flows, so that's looking nice. So you can see from the business rule, deactivate, delete indicator template, deactivate, delete. I've called it indicator template because from flow designing you don't know that it's about indicators. Update indicators created from template. Update indicators created from template. So I've moved the ones that are now inactive over to this tab. So that's looking pretty good. What's next? Indicator templates. These ones were dependent on issues. What else have we got? Is there any quick wins I can do in 10 minutes? Because we've got an hour and 20 on the clock. Let's look at tables. sysdb object list. Anything that's beginning with sngrc indicator batch, indicator result, indicator supporting data, indicator task. Did we look at that on here? I thought we did. Yeah, indicator task, indicator template. So we've done indicator template, indicator task, and indicator result. Haven't looked at supporting data. I'll be surprised if there's any business rules on here. The table name, is not valid. Did I put a comma? Ah, I had spaces. Yeah, look, no business rules. There's no logic on this table. That's great. Indicator. Haven't looked at that for. Why prefix? .config. Business rules. Okay, but they are a display. Pretty sure you can't do a display business rule. Update risk indicator failure factor. Prevent picking retired item. Yeah, these are before ones. I don't think we can do much with befores. So after, but that's under risk management. So the same way, I am going to flag this so we get it on a backlog. Let's call that indicator, and let's get this business rule. Where does the line come from? I don't want to include the link in there. So put that in. Update risk indicator failure factor. That's going to be in the risk scope, so I don't really want to touch that yet. In the same way that these are, although they're in the profile scope, they're going over into the issues API. And trust me when I say that's going to be a very interesting set of logic that we need to deal with. But this one will be good. Update risk indicator failure factor. It's in risk management application, so I'll need a different update set. But basically, it's dealing with operations delete as well. If its class name is risk, if the last result changes or you delete the indicator, risk equals risk if get, they've wrapped it, love to see it, then we just trigger update indicator failure factor for the risk. Interesting. So if you delete an indicator, obviously the number of indicators is affecting the indicator failure factor. So just removing the indicator, regardless of whether it passes or fails, will affect the average. But we just run the indicator failure factor against the risk glide record. So that must then come back and check for all indicators and whether they've passed or failed. So this is just the trigger point. Seems perfect, but we've got an operation delete in there, which is going to trip us up when we get there. Looking at the table logic, we've done indicator. We haven't done anything on indicator batch. This is a new table that I am aware of, but yet have not explored in any detail. There's a business rule. Notify for indicator tasks runs after. Notify for indicator tasks. What's it going to do? When to run? After. Delete. I don't think we can replace that one either. Batch. Count. Query. New if indicator task succeeded, we know that defaults on the property to 1,000. So if you've got more than 1,000 open indicator tasks, you can change that property. It's going to notify. I don't understand the logic why this runs on delete. So you delete the indicator batch, so it's been cleared out, so it's been processed. However, it's only running on delete, so we won't be able to touch that one either. Okay, so can't handle a delete operation. Same for indicator batches. I feel like we should document the fact that we've talked about it, just because at the end of this, you say, what did you do? Loads of stuff, but didn't write it down. I mean, writing stuff down as you go along is recommended. I'll recommend it. I don't know who else recommends it. But if you're working on debugging an issue, and you're stuck, and then you think, oh, I need to speak to someone about this, and you talk to one of your colleagues or your mates, or you go to the community, or you raise it with the support desk, and you need to hand it over to someone. You need to tell them what you've done so far, what you've tried, what worked, what didn't. So write it down as you go along. Keep track. It will help your own investigations, because you'll be able to come back and go, okay, I started here, I've done that, and you will avoid repeating yourself, and you can be a lot more logical. Okay. One of my old team leaders, when I was an apprentice, I'm going to shout out Brian Russell, because he was a legend. I'm not sure how he's getting on, so just shout to Brian Russell. But he told me in my debugging, you need to be more logical, less intuitive, right? So I used to jump to conclusions. I'm not sure what percentage I was right. I might have been on the right lines, but getting there, it's the same as in maths. You have to show you're working out. Write things down as you go along, okay? And then you can. Takes a little bit longer, but it will save you time in the long run. There's no logic on this table. The indicator batches, if I just want to get the text, I sometimes paste it into, actually I want this name, paste it up here, and then I can copy it. Just strips out the HTML. That table is not no logic, but it's a delete operation. So what tables have we looked at? Let's zoom out in here. Indicator task, indicator result, indicator template, indicator supporting data, indicator batch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at our tables. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we've explored all the logic on the tables, the business rules. This one is an amber. Oh no, we haven't started on that yet. Sorry, that's because it's risk management. This one's an amber because it cannot handle the delete operation. This one's green, this one's red. I haven't highlighted all of the afters, all of the before business rules, because they're not going to change. I can just blanket that now and say anything on before we're not attempting. I've done every table name that starts with SNGRC indicator. If we just look at what else is ahead and group by application, yeah, everything that starts with SNGRC, we've got advanced dashboards, performance analytics premium. What's going on with these? M2Ms, okay. I mean, there's a lot of logic in M2M tables, actually. That's something I haven't looked at. I don't think indicators has got any M2M relationships, so that should be fine. But when we start going down the road of content, so policy statement, control objectives, risk statements, citations, we start looking at documents like policy, authority documents, risk frameworks. These sorts of mappings is where there is a lot of logic on the M2M tables. I really hope they're going to be after business rules. I can't think off the top of my head. GRC audience. I hope this is the same audience that's used for policy acknowledgement and that's centralized. That will be nice. We've got 63 tables in here. Assessment grouping, document, exceptions. Okay, exceptions here is to do with licensing rather than policy exceptions. But we have done 6 out of 63, so that's 10% if we look at it very, very crudely. Anything else to say on here? It's been an hour and a half. Let's do a lovely transition and just say thanks to everyone for tuning in. This is part 2, looking at indicators, and we have managed to understand how much of our indicators we can start to shift over to Flow Designer. So I think in the next session we'll start to look at issues. Okay, issues is going to be very detailed, so we might need more than 2 parts. Then we can start to look back at the stuff from indicators that touches issues and start to join things together. But going from indicators into issues is for me the next logical step. So if an indicator fails, the issue is going to get handled. If an indicator passes, the issue needs to get handled. Once we get into issues, then we start to look along things like updating the control status in policy and compliance. We've seen one already when the indicator changes, then it's going to update the risk factor. Okay, so that's why I went with profiles to start with. It's central. We start to see where it connects into the different applications. We've also got entity types and all of those mapping. So I'm loving, there's a lot of asynchronous business rules in GRC. I'm really hoping that Flow Designer can help us with some of that, because I've certainly been able to identify quite a lot of gaps. So far, in summary, mostly around business rules, anything that's running before, anything that's handling a delete operation, and anything that's dealing with a previous rather than the current object, for me seems to be a bit of a gap in Flow Designer right now. However, this is a learning curve. I don't know if Flow Designer is actually intended to solve these problems. If it's not, then so be it. But I'm looking forward to the next part. I will update the schedule. Don't forget to subscribe. Where is it? Over here? Yeah, somewhere. Subscribe in the channel, like the video if you like it, add comments. I'll link to the community post. GRC IRM Full Flow Project Part 2. See you for Part 3. Thank you.